I built CloudStream from a garage startup to a $20 million tech company, only to watch my best friend and business partner Jack steal it all in one devastating board meeting. We went from cramming code in our college dorm to popping champagne with Silicon Valley investors. Then suddenly, I was standing in the parking lot with a cardboard box of desk items, company access revoked. Before I tell you how I rebuilt something even greater from absolute nothing, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button to join my comeback story. I always knew I would build something meaningful with technology. From the moment I got my first computer at 12, I was obsessed with coding. By 16, I had created my first security application, a simple password manager that my high school friends actually used. At Stanford, I dove deep into computer science, often staying up until dawn solving problems just for the thrill of finding the solution. That was where I met Jack during sophomore year. We were paired at a hackathon and dominated the competition with a data encryption solution that even impressed our professors. Jack was everything I was not. While I was quiet and methodical, he was charismatic and bold. I could code for days straight, but Jack could walk into a room and make everyone believe in whatever vision he was selling. We were perfect complements. Our friendship grew beyond the classroom. Weekends at his family lake house became strategy sessions about the tech empire we would build together. We took road trips up the coast, debating the future of cloud computing while watching Pacific sunsets. When Jack got married, I was his best man. 2 years later, he was mine when I married Amy, who believed in our dream as much as we did. After graduation, we turned down lucrative offers from Google and Amazon. Everyone thought we were crazy, but Amy supported my decision completely. I remember her words, "Build something that matters, Reed. Create what only you can see." So there we were, hunched over laptops in my garage, living on ramen and coffee, burning through our modest savings to build the prototype. The idea for CloudStream came during a walk across the Golden Gate Bridge at sunset. We wanted to create a secure data streaming platform that would revolutionize how companies protected their most sensitive information. Those first months were magical. The pure creation, the freedom, the sense that we were building something revolutionary. Jack and I worked in perfect harmony. My technical brilliance matched with his business acumen. We were brothers in arms, united by a single vision. 6 grueling months later, we had a working prototype. Our Stanford networks proved valuable when Dr. Willis, our former professor, became our first angel investor with $50,000. That money allowed us to rent a small office in Oakland and hire our first employee, Natalie, a brilliant coder who graduated a year after us. The real breakthrough came when Jack somehow secured a meeting with a Fortune 500 company. I still remember how nervous I was presenting our solution. But when their chief technology officer leaned forward and said, "This solves a problem we did not even know how to define," I knew we were onto something special. Success came faster than we imagined. We hired Marcus for operations, Taylor for design, and Jason for sales. My security architecture innovations gave us a clear advantage over established competitors. When we secured $5 million in Series A funding, Jack insisted we celebrate with a dinner at the most expensive restaurant on the San Francisco waterfront. I remember toasting to our friendship that night, certain it would endure forever. We moved to a prestigious Market Street office. TechCrunch profiled us as Silicon Valley's next unicorn. Within 18 months, we had 40 employees and a valuation that made my head spin. I took pride in creating a company culture people loved. Office dogs, flexible schedules, creative spaces. Everyone said CloudStream was different because it felt human despite being a cutting-edge tech company. While Jack handled investor relations, I focused on building the product, diving into code for days at a time. During our first company retreat in Napa Valley, Jack raised his glass and declared we were best friends creating history. That night in my gratitude journal, I wrote, "Building my dream company with my best friend." How did I get so lucky? The first warning signs were subtle. Jack began scheduling investor meetings without telling me. He hired an executive named Brian, who seemed to report only to him. Once I overheard them discussing restructuring technical leadership, but when I asked Jack about it, he laughed it off. "You worry too much, Reed," he said, patting my shoulder. "Just focus on what you do best, and let me handle the big picture." During a board meeting, Jack presented a strategy I had never seen before. When I questioned him afterward, he claimed he had shown me the presentation last week. Had I been so absorbed in code that I forgot? It did not sound like me, but Jack was convincing. I noticed some patent paperwork was missing my signature as co-inventor, despite being based on my architecture. The company blog increasingly featured Jack exclusively as the visionary founder, with my contributions mentioned as an afterthought. At the company holiday party, Amy pulled me aside. "Have you noticed how Jack talks over you now? How he takes credit for your ideas?" I dismissed her concerns, blaming it on the pressures of rapid growth. Loyal Marcus warned me over lunch about office politics. "Something is shifting, Reed. People are picking sides." I did not want to believe politics could infect what we had built. Jack bought a mansion in Atherton that made me question our salary arrangements. Had the board approved compensation changes I was unaware of, I found my signature on documents I did not remember signing. When confronted, Jack seemed genuinely confused by my suspicion. "You are just stressed from coding too much," he insisted. "Take a weekend off. Everything is fine." Team members were moved from my projects without consultation. I found myself excluded from key client meetings. Jack always had a reasonable explanation, but doubt was growing. Then I was accidentally copied on an email thread where Jack discussed a leadership transition with the board. When I confronted him, Jack laughed it off as contingency planning that every growing company needs. He seemed so sincere that I questioned my concerns. We had dinner that weekend, and he was the old Jack again, reminiscing about our college days and planning CloudStream's future. Just when my anxiety began to subside, I discovered a legal document showing CloudStream's core technology registered solely under Jack's name. The betrayal had begun. I confronted Jack privately about the technology registration. He was so casual about it, waving his hand dismissively. "It is just a legal formality, Reed. Everything is still 50-50 between us," he assured me, not quite meeting my eyes. The lawyers thought it was cleaner this way, but everything changed after that. I found myself increasingly isolated from decision-making processes. Executive meetings were mysteriously rescheduled to times when I had conflicts. Jack brought in consultants without discussion, people who looked at me with thinly veiled condescension. William, one of our board members, pulled me aside after a meeting. "Jack has a real gift for the vision thing," he said. "Maybe you should focus on the product while he handles the big picture." The language in our financing documents changed subtly. New clauses about executive authority appeared. Jack began implying I lacked business acumen in front of investors. I found myself defending technical decisions we had previously agreed upon, as though history was being rewritten. Our company lawyer, Thomas, appeared increasingly uncomfortable during meetings where Jack and I disagreed. When I tried to catch his eye, he would look away quickly. Jack repeatedly cited conversations I had no memory of having. But we discussed this last month, he would insist, making me question my own recollections. Team members grew distant, sensing the political tension. Jack created a separate business strategy team that excluded me entirely. When I tried to access certain email folders, I found my permissions restricted. "Server security upgrade," Jack explained when I asked. "IT will fix it soon." Natalie, who had been with us since the beginning, confirmed my fears privately. "People are noticing the changes, Reed. Jack is consolidating control." I discovered financial reports showing unexplained executive bonuses. When I questioned Jack about transparency, he became defensive for the first time. "Do you not trust me now?" he demanded. After everything we have built together, the company I had created was slipping through my fingers. I began experiencing physical symptoms of anxiety, insomnia, kept me awake most nights. I lost weight. Amy grew increasingly concerned about my health and mental state. I missed our anniversary dinner because of an emergency board meeting that accomplished nothing substantial. My friendship with Jack had devolved into strained professional interactions. The company culture split into factions: business versus technical teams. My innovative projects were delayed or defunded. Engineers loyal to me were reassigned to different projects. My office was moved to a different floor from the executive team. Jack hired new executives who clearly aligned with his vision over mine. The isolation was crushing. At a family dinner, my brother asked how work was going, and I could not explain what was happening. The company had been my identity, my life's purpose. Now I was becoming a stranger in my own creation. I tried repeatedly to schedule a heart-to-heart with Jack, but he was always too busy. My father, hearing the strain in my voice during our weekly calls, offered simple advice: "Trust your gut, son. Something is not right there." Amy found me awake at 3 in the morning reviewing company documents, searching for answers. "You need to protect yourself," she urged. I finally consulted an outside lawyer who raised serious concerns after reviewing what documents I could provide. "This looks like a systematic effort to dilute your authority," she said bluntly. The final straw came when I discovered a draft press release about leadership restructuring that mentioned moving me to an advisory role. One night, working late, I found my access to several critical systems suddenly restricted. Security actually questioned my authorization to enter certain office areas the next morning. Natalie, risking her own position, shared documents showing Jack's comprehensive restructuring plan had been in the works for months. I discovered a Delaware LLC registered solely under Jack's name with assets suspiciously similar to CloudStream's intellectual property. My late-night investigation revealed a separate company with intellectual property remarkably similar to our core technology. An investor presentation completely omitted my contributions to CloudStream's creation. Email trails showed Jack's plan had been coordinated for months. I found altered board meeting minutes that misrepresented my positions on key decisions. Thomas, our company lawyer, appeared torn when I confronted him privately. "I cannot say anything officially," he said, not meeting my eyes. "But you should carefully review all documents from the last quarter." Financial records revealed resources diverted to projects under Jack's direct control. In the company legal drive, I found a draft of my termination agreement already prepared. Most devastating of all, I discovered what appeared to be my forged signature on critical documents, transferring patent rights. Working through the night in the empty office, I found a presentation outlining founder liability issues that portrayed me as a risk to company growth. Dr. Willis, our first investor, confirmed Jack had been systematically misleading board members about my role and contributions. The new board members, I realized, all had prior connections to Jack through various business associations. The company valuation document minimized my technical contributions while emphasizing Jack's visionary leadership. Natalie resigned after refusing to participate in technical changes designed to undermine my work. "I cannot be part of this, Reed," she said, tears in her eyes. "This is not what I signed up for." Jack's assistant let slip a comment about an upcoming board vote that had not been announced to me. In the company document system, I found a complete transition plan dated 6 months earlier that detailed my removal in 3 phases. The final devastating discovery was an email from Jack to our lawyers about executing founder removal at the upcoming board meeting. The betrayal was complete, meticulously planned, and about to culminate. The emergency board meeting was called with minimal notice on a Tuesday morning. I arrived to find the seating arrangement changed, with my usual spot moved to the far end of the table. Jack stood confidently at the head, not even acknowledging my entrance. His presentation was perfectly orchestrated, a masterclass in character assassination disguised as corporate concern. He displayed slides showing leadership concerns and presented fabricated evidence of my supposed technological misjudgments. Reed has made critical architectural decisions that limit our growth potential, Jack stated, with practiced regret in his voice. I looked around the table at board members who had once congratulated me on my technical brilliance. Their eyes now avoided mine, their expressions already decided. Even William, who had championed my early innovations, sat stone-faced. When I attempted to defend myself, explaining the technical considerations behind my decisions, my words fell on deaf ears. Jack had clearly done his work before the meeting, convincing everyone present that I was the problem. Reed lacks the vision to take us forward. Jack declared the phrase, striking like a physical blow coming from the person who once called me his brother. The legal team presented documents I had never seen before, outlining a restructuring that effectively removed me from all decision-making authority. The vote of no confidence passed 6-1, my lone dissent, noted without comment. This is not personal, Reed. It is business, Jack said, as the meeting concluded, not quite meeting my eyes. Security waited outside the boardroom. A human resources representative I barely recognized handed me a cardboard box containing items from my desk. They had already packed up my belongings, clearly anticipating the outcome. Employees watched in shocked silence as I was escorted from the building. My access badge deactivated with an angry beep at the front entrance. In the parking lot, I tried to log into company email on my phone, only to find my accounts already disabled. A text message from Jack appeared. We will have lawyers contact you about settlement. Please, do not contact employees directly. I sat in my car for hours, unable to process what had happened. Amy found me still sitting there as evening fell, staring blankly at the building I had helped design. On the drive home, a news alert appeared on my phone. CloudStream announces executive changes. The press release praised Jack as the visionary founder, with no mention of me at all. The final insult came that night. A technology news site published an interview with Jack, discussing his company's exciting new direction. There was no acknowledgement I had ever existed. The days after my ouster blurred together, I sat in our home office, staring at walls, unable to formulate a plan or even process my emotions. Amy grew increasingly concerned. As I stopped eating regularly, losing weight I could not afford to lose. Calls from confused employees went unanswered. I could not bear to discuss what had happened, and I worried about legal implications. A formal letter arrived outlining my restricted access and an extensive non-compete clause that essentially prohibited me from working in my field of expertise for 2 years. The financial reality hit hard. Our savings were largely tied up in company stock, now controlled by the board. Attempts to secure legal representation against Jack faltered when firms calculated the costs versus my dwindling resources. Several lawyers bluntly told me that corporate battles like this typically favored the party in control. Former colleagues who initially reached out stopped contacting me, afraid to be associated with someone who had fallen from grace. Social media showed Jack ringing the opening bell at the stock exchange as CloudStream went public, an event we had once dreamed of experiencing together. My father called daily to check that I was okay. I assured him I was fine, but the lie grew more apparent each day. When my brother flew in unannounced, concerned about my mental state after speaking with Amy, I realized how far I had fallen. Technology blogs covered the leadership change at CloudStream, largely accepting Jack's narrative about strategic differences. I skipped the annual college alumni dinner to avoid inevitable questions about the company everyone associated with my name. One night, Amy found me at 4 a.m, still staring at financial spreadsheets, calculating how long we could survive. Who am I without my company? I asked her, voicing the identity crisis that had consumed me. We sold our San Francisco home, moving to a smaller apartment, and putting possessions in storage. During therapy sessions, I struggled to articulate the depth of betrayal I felt. How does one describe having their life's work stolen by the person they trusted most. My lowest moment came 3 months after the ouster. Sitting across from Amy, at our much smaller dining table, I whispered the words I never thought I would say. I give up. Jack won. Her eyes filled with tears, but not of sadness. "That is not the Reed I married," she said firmly. "The Reed I know does not quit. He builds." The next day, I took a solo hike in Muir Woods. Among the ancient redwoods, with no cell service and no distractions, I found clarity for the first time in months. The question shifted from, "What did I lose?" to, "What can I create now?" I contacted Dr. Willis, our first investor, who had been pushed out of CloudStream's board shortly after I was removed. Over coffee, he shared key insights about Jack's technical limitations. "He does not understand the architecture like you do," Dr. Willis observed. "That will be his downfall eventually." Researching CloudStream's recent product updates, I identified a fundamental flaw in their approach. Jack had always prioritized flashy features over solid infrastructure. Without my guidance, they were building on an increasingly shaky foundation. Market analysis revealed an unaddressed need that CloudStream's current direction would never fulfill. I reached out to Natalie, who had also left the company, and found her eager to collaborate again. Paul, an angel investor who had been skeptical of Jack's tactics for years, agreed to meet discreetly. "I always thought you were the real genius behind CloudStream," he admitted. "What would you build if you started fresh today?" That question sparked an inspiration. Rather than recreating what I had lost, I could design something entirely new that leveraged my deeper technical understanding while addressing CloudStream's architectural weaknesses. My parents offered a small personal loan to secure working space, a gesture of faith that moved me deeply. Amy's support never wavered. "Build something that makes the betrayal worthwhile," she encouraged. Working late one night, I had a breakthrough. My new technical approach would make CloudStream's solution obsolete within a year if properly executed. I contacted Marcus, who had been fired shortly after questioning financial decisions, and his operational knowledge proved invaluable. Meeting with former clients revealed widespread dissatisfaction with changes at CloudStream since my departure. Industry regulations were evolving in ways that CloudStream could not easily adapt to without my expertise. Over a weekend hackathon, with a small team of believers, we developed a proof of concept that outperformed my previous work by significant margins. Paul introduced me to ethical investors who valued integrity alongside innovation. My perspective shifted from revenge to innovation. This was no longer about beating Jack, but about building something truly revolutionary. The company name came from Amy during a late-night brainstorming session, Phoenix Data Systems, rising from the ashes. We rented a tiny warehouse space in an Oakland industrial district, setting up folding tables with our personal laptops. Our team of 4 worked around the clock, fueled by passion and possibility. I often slept on the office couch coding through the night, exhilarated by the freedom to create without compromise. The breakthrough came 3 months in, when our prototype exceeded all performance metrics we had established. Looking at the results, I wrote in my journal, "What Jack took was just the first draft. This is the masterpiece." Phoenix Data Systems launched with minimal resources but a superior product. Our first client meeting was held in our sparse warehouse office. I was completely transparent about our situation, focusing on our technical advantages rather than making grandiose promises. "We do not have fancy offices or marketing teams," I told them. "What we have is the most secure data streaming solution on the market, built by the people who understand this problem better than anyone." They signed with us that day. Natalie's architectural improvements made our product truly revolutionary. Without corporate bureaucracy slowing us down, we implemented innovations I had been unable to pursue at CloudStream. Marcus brought operational discipline without political games, ensuring we remained lean and focused. I structured Phoenix with careful legal protections for intellectual property, learning from my previous mistakes. We worked from that industrial warehouse with minimal furniture but maximum passion. The absence of pretense became our strength. A second major client chose Phoenix over CloudStream after a head-to-head performance comparison. An industry blog noted our surprising market entry, questioning how a newcomer could outperform an established player. The answer, of course, was that Phoenix was built on deeper expertise and without compromise. I established Phoenix on principles of transparent leadership and shared ownership. Every team member received equity, creating a culture of collective investment in our success. We grew through word of mouth rather than marketing hype, letting our technology speak for itself. At a major tech conference, Phoenix demonstrated solutions that made CloudStream's offerings look outdated. Industry whispers spread about CloudStream's growing technical problems following my departure. Their newest release contained security vulnerabilities that would have never passed my review. Our Series A funding round valued Phoenix higher than I had dared hope. We moved to proper office space but maintained our humble, authentic culture. No status symbols, no politics, just brilliant people solving important problems. Phoenix won an industry award for Most Innovative Security Solution just 10 months after launch. Former CloudStream employees began reaching out, many eventually joining Phoenix. Each brought valuable insights and a desire to work in an environment where merit trumped politics. CloudStream began losing market share to Phoenix's superior technology. Their stock price faltered while our valuation climbed. Jack reached out through intermediaries to discuss acquisition possibilities. I declined the meeting with a brief email, not interested in any partnership discussions. Best regards. Just 2 years after I sat devastated in that parking lot, Phoenix surpassed CloudStream's valuation. We celebrated quietly, the team gathering for dinner rather than throwing lavish parties. Success felt different this time, more grounded and sustainable. I implemented a distributed ownership model that made hostile takeovers nearly impossible. No single person, including myself, could ever seize control of Phoenix. We were structured as a true partnership of talent. The most satisfying moment came when Phoenix turned profitable while CloudStream simultaneously announced layoffs. The contrast between our trajectories could not have been clearer. The journey transformed me personally as much as professionally. My initial anger gradually gave way to focused determination. Therapy helped me process the betrayal trauma, recognizing that Jack's actions reflected his limitations, not mine. My relationship with Amy emerged stronger through the crisis. She had seen me at my lowest and still believed in me. Our partnership deepened through shared resilience. I learned to trust again, but with greater wisdom. At Phoenix, agreements were clear and transparent. No assumption went undocumented, no promise unverified. My health improved as Phoenix succeeded. The insomnia and anxiety receded. I established work-life boundaries that had never existed at CloudStream home dinners, with Amy weekend unplugging actual vacations. I reached out to former colleagues without bitterness, recognizing many had been caught in circumstances beyond their control. William, the board member, who had voted for my removal, sent a private email of apology. I see clearly now what happened. You have created something remarkable with Phoenix. News of Jack's leadership struggles at CloudStream brought no satisfaction. I had moved beyond seeking revenge, focusing entirely on building something valuable. The family support network that sustained me through my darkest times remained central to my life, a priority I would never again sacrifice for business. I rediscovered the joy in coding and problem-solving without political distractions. Amy noted one evening that I smiled more at Phoenix than I ever had at CloudStream, despite our more modest surroundings. I began mentoring young entrepreneurs about ethical business practices, sharing lessons from my experience without bitterness. CloudStream was eventually acquired at a fraction of its former valuation, its technical foundations unable to sustain Jack's promises. Jack sent a LinkedIn connection request, that I chose to ignore. There was no benefit in reconnecting, no closure needed beyond what I had already achieved. The most healing realization came during a family dinner when my father raised his glass to the betrayal that led to something better. Sometimes our worst moments lead to our best opportunities. The business lesson was clear, authentic innovation outlasts political maneuvering every time. The personal transformation was even more significant. Crisis revealed my true purpose and values in ways success never could. I find myself grateful for the betrayal that forced me to create something better aligned with my values. Phoenix now stands valued at triple CloudStream's peak valuation, built on a foundation of integrity that cannot be compromised. My approach to partnership is forever changed, built on transparency and shared success rather than blind trust. I view failure now as redirection, not an endpoint. Jack ultimately left the industry after CloudStream's acquisition, his reputation tarnished by the company's decline. Beyond business success, I found purpose in mentoring others, helping them navigate both technical challenges and human complexities of startups. The betrayal was painful, but ultimately transformative teaching lessons I could have learned no other way. From the ashes of what I lost, I built something stronger, more authentic, and ultimately more successful. The journey taught me that sometimes losing everything is the only way to discover what matters most. Has adversity ever redirected your life in unexpected ways? Share your comeback story in the comments below. I read every comment and draw inspiration from this community. If this resonated with you, subscribe to join more discussions about building resilience through challenges. Hit that like button if you believe setbacks can become setups for something better. Thank you for being part of this journey. And remember, sometimes what looks like the end is just the beginning of something greater.